guess many people on the ship.
Schalchlin.
Yeah, thank you. Now, as many of you know, I write a lot of songs while I'm on the cruises. And I discovered that on our first cruise when Jimmy was lecturing, and I would sneak down in the middle of the night, find the piano and play just a little bit, and discovered that I had a whole grand piano to myself and all these endless hours. Well, one day I was walking down the hallways of the ship, and I heard this man and this woman, and they were having this horrible argument. And I was listening very closely, and I thought, all of a sudden the guy said, "I'd rather be naked in the freezing rain, swimming with some killer sharks, swallowing a poison pill, getting mugged in city parks, sailing in an iceberg flow, clubbing little baby seals, sliding down a razor blade, sharing someone's prison meals, vacationing in Syria, than having to explain myself to you." Everybody! Vacationing in Syria, than having to explain myself to you. I'd rather be shooting up in Sunday school, tearing cats and dogs apart, diving on a hand grenade, smelling someone else's fart, drowning in an acid bath, milking angry tigers' tits, doing college level math, cut up into little bits, vacationing in Syria, than having to explain myself to you. You think you want to talk, but then I find you drifting off, 'cause you think you know what I am trying hard to say. But if you never listen, then this whole thing is a sham, and I'm not really in the mood to play. I'd rather be drinking sour dinner wine, jumping on a hornet's nest, barefoot in a cactus bed, see my mom and dad undress underneath an avalanche, roasting in an open fire, watching basic cable news, wear a burning rubber tire, vacationing in Syria, than having to explain myself to you. I'd rather sip a cocktail in some Molotov cafe, drive a car in countryside patrolled by army drones, volunteer for ISIS just to pass the time of day, anything to make you go away. I'd rather see Donald Duck as president, Kim Jong-un in underpants, stuck inside a spider web, neck deep in some killer S, breathing worms and vomit sauce, sizzling in an acid rain, amputating body parts, run down by a speeding train, vacationing in Syria, than having to explain myself to you. Vacationing in Syria, than having to explain myself to you. I love you, but it's true. It's like vacationing in Syria with you. I'm a member of a songwriter group. We meet on Monday nights, and our goal is we have to present a brand new song every Monday night. And then we listen to each other and we critique the shit out of each other. And it is murderous and depressing. But then I walk away and I rewrite. So it was a Sunday night, I was sitting there, Monday night's coming, I know I got a deadline, and I look out my window and I see down on 42nd Street, they built a new hotel with cruise ship cabin-sized Japanese pods. And the sign out front is purple, and the halls inside are purple, and the bar is serving nectar from the gods. Just across 10th Avenue, the sandwich shop is closed. The sign out front says, taxes are still owed. And the sign out front is yellow, like the cabs out front are yellow, as they fight for strong positions on the road. Though you think I do not know, each night when I do a show, I can actually see your cell phone glow. This is my New York This is my New York life. This is my glamorous New York life. Sing along. This is my New York life. This is my New York life. This is my glamorous New York life. Now I work at Equinox, front desk guy at Equinox. Last month I almost paid my rent on time. And the tourists come from Asia, 'cause the money's all in Asia. So the Broadway shows don't even try to rhyme. A subway virtuoso plays songs that have seen better days. I wish I'd known the Village in its prime. This is my New York life. This is my New York life. This is my glamorous New York life. This is my New York life. This is my New York life. This is my glamorous New York life. And they're building castles facing Jersey, 'cause it's such an honor facing Jersey. Rain pours down from misty skies. Some kid surfs a subway train and dies. Up on 42nd Street, I hear the scream of sirens. The homeless are almost swept away. Mom and pops are closing up, the grocery stores are closing up. But I can get $1 pizza any time of day. And I love my neighbors at this bar, where we're all just who we are. Some I don't know, some I do. Long before the night is through, someone's gonna play the Broadway star. 'Cause everyone in town's a Broadway star, or think they are. This is my New York life. This is my New York life. This is my glamorous New York life. All my books are on my phone, and all my friends are home alone. This is my glamorous New York life. Now I come from Texas. My daddy is a missionary Baptist minister, which for all you Jews out there, that means take the Southern Baptist and go 2 steps more conservative and then go down there. They dropped out of the Southern Baptist Convention because they were too liberal, and then they jumped out of that, and you get the point, right? So I never learned how to dance. I never learned how to dance. My preacher daddy said Jesus wouldn't like it, so I never learned how to dance. But now that I can dance, I don't know how. I got no feeling for it now. So it's cold comfort. Cold comfort, cold comfort in my bones, in my bones. Sing along. Cold comfort, cold comfort, cold comfort in my bones. to drink. I never learned how to drink. A Nashville drag queen once gave me some moonshine. True story, but I never learned how to drink. But now that I can drink, I don't know how. Get in trouble for it now. So it's cold comfort, cold comfort, cold comfort in my bones, in my bones. I'm telling you, cold comfort, a bitter pill, cold comfort. When you win the battle, but you lose the war. Never learn to make love, never learn what to do. But I learned enough to stay here with you. I never learned how to fight. I never learned how to fight. My mama's heart would break into pieces if she saw me in a fight. But now that I can fight, I fight to win. So you should let me in for some cold comfort, cold comfort, cold comfort in my bones, in my bones. I'm telling you, cold comfort, cold comfort. When you lose a battle, but you win the war, cold comfort no more. When you lose a battle, but you win the war, cold comfort no more. This is my special request. Thanks to my lovely Neil, who plays in here at night. This song has now become the #1 hit on Crystal Cruise Lines. And you know that that video that we shot of him doing it for the first time has over 1,000 views. Normally my videos get 30. I watch you in your mirror as you trace your worry lines. You think you're not as beautiful as in our youthful times. Well, believe me when I tell you, all those lines you think you see are tissue paper overlay, invisible to me. I only see your laughing eyes when love first stung. I only see you young. Remember how you tricked me into sharing that first kiss. I was way too shy to see the signals I had missed. Don't tell me you don't get it. I see how you look at me. I'm still the awkward juvenile who trips on his own feet. I still feel our first embrace that made us one. I only see you young. And even if there were some subtle flaw, it's written in the fabric of the face I love most of all. gone. I only see you young. I only see you young. I only see us young. In case you don't know, I was in here practicing early one morning, and this man came rushing in. It was Neil. I didn't know who he was because I hadn't gone to this avenue yet. And he just raced up and he said, "What is that song? What is that song? I have to learn that song. What is that song? Did you write that song?" And then he took a snapshot of the lyrics and the chord chart, and the next day, you know, he had learned the song. And that's never happened to me before in my life. So thank you, Neil. For sitting right there. It's a wonderful, as a songwriter, believe me, as a songwriter, and Alan will tell you this, nobody notices us. They notice the artist, they notice who sings, but the songwriter stays in the background. And now the industry has changed so much that we can't even make money with our own songs. But they're going to give us a Grammy this year, so now we have something we can stick on our shelf. If it were made out of gold, maybe it would mean something. One night I was in here, and there was this, I'm playing through and I'm writing songs to myself. I get into this thing and I don't know anybody else is here, and all of a sudden I hear the night cleaners. Now, if you don't know, that there's a whole crew of people who work here in the middle of the night while you are asleep. They never meet you, they never see you, and you never see them. And this guy was from the Philippines, and normally this night crew, this might be their first or second time working on a ship. They're brand new to the seas, and so they kind of work in isolation. And so I'm sitting here playing, and this guy, his name is Tirso. He was this kind of burly guy doing the vacuuming. And he looked at me and had this big smile on his face. He said, "Hey, would you write a song for me?" And all those guys on the night crew? And I said, "Okay." And then I started asking questions, because if I'm going to write a song about them, I've got to know who they are, right? Write a song for me, working on the night crew. Hey, he said, would you write a song for me? Would you write a song for me, working on the night crew? And I said, yeah. Hey, I said, tell me about the things you like. Tell me about the things you like, working on the night crew. And hey, tell me about the things you hate. Tell me about the things you hate, working on the night crew. And he said, all right. He said, I love that I'm doing it for my family. I got a son I barely see, 'cause my family gives me strength in my darkest hour. And hey, I like that it's quiet. I like that it's quiet, working on the night crew. And hey, I like that my boss is asleep. I like that my boss is asleep, working on the night crew. And I thought of all the night crew. And I polish the brass, and I clean the toilets, and bake all the bread, and sweep the floor. And if you look around, you'll see this place looks better than it did the day before, because, hey, I work in the night crew, working the night crew. Oh yeah. Hey, I'm working the night crew, working the night crew. Jude. You know, the ending is just going, hey, I'm working the night crew, working the night crew. Hey, yeah. Pretty soon, all the other night crews started coming in. They picked up their mops and vacuum cleaners and started to pretend like they were holding guitars. And I turned my video camera on. The next thing you know, we were the Beatles. We were absolutely just tearing it up, singing and playing along. And then at the end of the cruise, I made the video and we got with the cruise director and we put it up on the TV monitors, and the whole ship got to watch our version of the night crew, and the night crew got to see themselves on the TV. It was absolutely one of the most beautiful moments I ever had. So hey, sing along. I'm working the night crew, working the night crew. Oh yeah, one more time. Hey, I'm working the night crew, working the night crew. Oh yeah. Absolutely one of my favorite moments. That's something you cannot plan. Something you cannot plan. And it was just such an open-hearted, wonderful thing. And I also want to say too, just as a little tip to Crystal Cruises, my first job was on a cruise ship. And it was on Chandra's cruises before they became celebrity, and they did not know how to run a ship. And they were so abusive to the crew. They would curse them, they would kick them. They were absolutely abominable to the people who were working. And I remember my first day on, it was a symphony. I left the thing and I saw one of the night crew like polishing some brass. And I wanted to just say something nice, and I said, oh, look how shiny the brass is. You know, that's really lovely, the work that you're doing. And he snapped to attention and he said, yes, sir. We're a 6-star ship. And I thought, that starts at the top. That starts at the top. That means, and I noticed that ever since we've been cruising, this ship takes care of its employees. And that's why when they serve you a drink with a smile, it's not a fake pasted on smile. They probably know how the other ships and the other lines work. And so I'm always ever grateful that this line treats its employees like equals, like human beings, and they give them little awards and they treat them nicely, and they know how hard they work, but they're not being taken advantage of, and I just appreciate that. So Crystal Cruises. Now, how many of y'all saw the 3 songwriters in their special thing? Phenomenal. And there's Alan Rich over there. He's a fantastic songwriter. And Sharon Vaughn was telling me over dinner the other day, she said she was working with a songwriter, and I think in Norway or Sweden, and the guy came up to her and said, oh, I am so out of ideas. You know what I mean? I'm just like empty. And she looked at him and said, no, I don't know what that means. Go out and read something. Go to a bar and listen to people, and you never know where a song is going to come from. Just like I never knew where the Night Crew song was going to come from. So, if you ask a songwriter what their favorite song is that they've ever written, they will tell you it's the one they just finished. It doesn't matter how many hits they had. I like the one I wrote yesterday. So I'm going to sing you the song I wrote about 2 weeks ago. And in context, a friend of mine was newly dating, so he went on the dating app and he found somebody that he really liked. And when he opened up the dating app, it said, someone to get groceries with. That's all he wrote. Someone to get groceries with, which I thought was so beautiful. So I thought, I'm going to turn that into a song. Someone to get groceries with. Who wants to be here? Someone headed to the fridge. Who might bring me a beer? Someone who likes boring stuff like physics or Rome. feet up with the TV on, creating a home. Someone to get Dairy Queen, or just go for walks. So comfortable we don't care if either one talks. After your long day at work, brain turned off, body relaxed into my arms. Come into my arms. I've had my time, I've had my day. The party's old, I've walked away for someone with a comfy couch and no place to go. I think it's a simple wish, someone to get groceries with. About 25 or 26 years ago, 1994, I was diagnosed with a deadly disease. Have anybody in here had any health issues in your life? Okay. I was sitting in I had pneumocystis pneumonia. I couldn't breathe. I was afraid to face what was happening to me. And finally, Jimmy just literally picked me up, threw me in the car, and took me down to the hospital. And when we were in the emergency room, I looked up in the doorway, and standing there, we were in Santa Monica in Los Angeles. I looked up in the doorway, and standing there was the actor Potsy from Happy Days, Anson Williams. And his wife, I guess, had choked on something, and he was waiting on her. And he looked over at me. I'm hooked up, I'm sick as a dog, and he walked over and he said, "What's wrong?" And I looked up at him, and for the first time I said out loud what I did not want to admit. And I think Jimmy says I screamed at the top of my lungs. I have no memory of this. I yelled, "I have AIDS!" And he said dishes dropped, curtain tore, I don't know. And he came all the way up to me, and he looked me in the eye, he took my hand, and he said, "Look, there's something in your eye. I can tell you have a lot more to do in this life. You're not gonna die today. So I just want you to hang on." About a year later, after many therapies and getting over things, I sat up at my piano and I started to play music. And when I came out of the hospital, I couldn't even walk. I was so thin. I looked like a Holocaust victim, to tell you the truth. So after about a year and getting myself back up and learning how to walk and standing up, I hadn't touched the piano in maybe a year and a half. So I sat up at the piano, and in response to a call from my dear Aunt Frida, who wanted to know how I was doing, I took myself back to that day. And all in one fell swoop, this song came out. I saw a neon sign that said emergency. I barely even know what happened next. Collapsing in a doorway and then down the hall, connected to a meter. We should all be connected to a meter. A very nice young man with 3 rings in each ear said we don't lose that many patients in a year. He rolled me to a lonely room the light beneath the bed, connected to a bottle. We should all be connected to a bottle. Every night at 1 a.m., the angel of the nighttime would wake me up and give me something good, and then give me something bad. All day long I channel surf, that's all that I could do. I couldn't read a book or walk around. You know you've hit the bottom when you're glad to be connected to a TV. We should all be connected to a TV. I dreamed I was on happy days, that I was playing Richie, with Patsy begging Richie not to die, 'cause they'd never let Richie die. Friends would come around and bring me little things and say how much they needed me to live. They told me I would make it, 'cause they said we were connected to each other. We should all be connected to each other. Now someday, if I lose this fight to carry on, please send me someplace gently out to sea, and listen as I whisper softly in your ear, connected to each other. We will always be connected to each other. So that ends our time here. But I do have one more little song that we might do for you. And the person that I'm connected to is going to come up here and sing it with me. The second show that Jimmy and I wrote together was called The Big Voice, God or Merman. We ended up choosing Merman, I think.
About 25 years ago, after 15 years together, Steve and I broke up. And we broke up for 80 days. And I was in New York, he was in LA, and I called to see how we were going to distribute our stuff. What would happen to our cats, Judy and Ethel. And so I called him to say, what are we going to do with our things? And he said,
come home. Nothing here is right. The cats and I alone in this house tonight. Ethel's in my lap. Judy's by my ear, and we're watching game shows just as if you were here. We can take it slow, we can keep it small, we can enter with no expectations at all.
no expectations at all. How do you fall back in disconnected? Unsaid things you never meant? Do you pray for miracles from above? Tell me, how do you fall back in love?
When I picture you sleeping on a floor in a cold apartment by some drafty door.
When I could be there, sitting in my chair, looking at our pictures, tell me, are they still there? Hanging on the wall, scenes of you and me, and the great big empty space where you used to be.
Where you used to be.
But how do you fall back in love? How do you reconnect what's disconnected? Unsay things you never meant, you pray